Hello everyone, you're on Angular crash course and I'm Stepan Suvorov. I'll tell you how to start Angular. Let's wait a bit while all the participants are joining. Meanwhile, I can tell you the story why I decided to do such a course. I really love Angular, and sometimes it makes me sad that other developers are choosing other frameworks like Vue or React only because they think that it's difficult to start with Angular, that it's too much to learn to start. So I'll use this hour or maybe even less to show you how easy it is to start with Angular. And I hope after this hour, you will be able to create your first application without any difficulties. Few words about myself. As I said, I'm Stepan Suvorov. I am CTO at StateTube. I'm doing front-end development and specifically Angular for already many years. I started with AngularJS, if you know such a framework. For all news, I'm going to continue this course, and probably next one is going to be about RxJS. So you can follow my Twitter for all the announcements. And also, I shared here the link. I'll put all the code for this training here, so you can also check it out. And of course, I'll provide the link to this presentation as well. And the recording. I got several questions about recording. Yes, of course, recording will be also shared. Few words about requirements. Yes, of course, to start with Angular, of course, you need to have Node.js and Node Package Manager on your system already installed. And also you should have basic idea about HTML and JavaScript. I see misprint here about JavaScript. Otherwise, it's going to be too much. And let's start. Angular starts with Angular CLI tool. So first thing you need to do to start Angular is to install this CLI tool. To install Angular CLI, you basically run npm command to install any package. npm install flag -g. It's good to have it globally. And then add Angular/CLI. I already have Angular CLI at my machine, so I will not run it now. So that's it. That's the command that you need. If you want to fall into the same, like I recommend you to listen, watch, and try to understand. Sometimes it's difficult to do it in parallel at the same time. But if you can manage to do it, please. So run this command, and after you install the Angular CLI, you have globally command ng. That will help you for everything in Angular. To create your first project with Angular, you can type ng new. So ng new command will create a new project. Let's say I want the name of the project my app. And also thing that I recommend you to have as less files as possible for this project. We put also ---- minimal. Minimal, like so. So what Angular CLI? And we asking like questions, like we can skip this one. We don't need router for now, and we can use still CSS. So just skip these two questions with enter. Angular CLI creates all needed files for the project and also installing all the dependencies. By the way, I also recommend you to use good tool. If you want to use to have all the power of Angular, you need to use good code editor. For my opinion, the best is either WebStorm or Visual Studio Code. They give you the most of the framework with all the highlighting, autocomplete, and code checking. Here in presentation we have some notes that after maybe will help you to go through the process. So here I put all the comments that we already did. So when you created the project, you need to go to this project folder, and then basically project is already created, and to run it you need to run one more Angular CLI command. It's ngserve. I also put it here in presentation for your convenience. What ngserve does? It compiles the project for you and run local static server so you can check already the application. Let's wait a bit. Yes. Now it's compiled, and as you see, the link here, so it's localhost 4200. We refresh the page and we see some kind of dummy application. So that's basically only 3 commands that you need to start with Angular: to install Angular CLI, to generate your project, and to start local server. Here we have still, even if we even generated with flag minimal, but you still have a lot of files here. Could be pretty confusing. But I suggest you not to try to investigate all the files, what they're all about, but go directly into source application folder. That's files that you need the most. Here you have only 2, module and component file. And for component, you have your template here, and if you change something like completely, what Angular CLI does already for you, it will recompile. It recognizes that you change something in template, it recompile the file, and it's refresh the browser, and you see the result immediately. So we are focusing on source application. We even don't need too much to look into module for now. we can work only with component. So that was a few words about project structure. We are working in our app folder. Next, also a few words about all the different entities of Angular. We have components, directives, and services. Again, please keep your focus on components. If you take any Angular project, you will have 80% of components there, maybe 5% of directives, and 15% of services. It's like my guesstimate. But again, if you want to start, you don't need to like put everything, load everything into your mind. Think about components first. And if we are speaking about components, we already have here our first component that already generated. It's our root component. We have our HTML DOM selector here. So if you go to index.html, your root index file, you see app root. App root is selector for this component. You could ask also, what this strange add component about? This is all about TypeScript decorators. But again, to start working with Angular, you don't need to know specifics of decorators, because Angular will generate everything for you. You only look at these properties. And these properties, like I said, it's HTML DOM, template that you can change, and styles. You can add also styles if you want. Next, you have your controller of your component where you put logic. Also, you can put variables, title. We will open one more terminal window. So we still keep our ngserve running, and we will open one more terminal window to run another command. If we want to create one more component, we will run another command. It's ng generate component. And we can call it child. ng generate component. And Angular will generate component for us. You see, it creates separate folder and component file in it. Moreover, it's even added to our module. We don't need to focus on module right now, but it's already doing it for you. And you have child component. If you want to include child component into your main component, you just add HTML tag. That's it. I remind you that our ngserve is working, so our application should be recompiled, and you have your template of your child components inside. This one we just included here. So the main thing about components, the command, how to generate components, and some parts of it. Also, there is a shortcut that helps you to do it quicker. So instead of generate, we put G. Instead of component, we put C. So ng, G, C, and then you can generate another component. Also, the folder is generated. Okay, good. That's the basics about components. Now we are going deeper with templates. What we could do with templates here. With templates, the main thing I think about templates, it's called interpolation, or the way how we can output variables in our template. For example, we have variable title here. With helps of these special brackets, we can output our variable title. Let's see, we have our server running, and we have our variable in. What else can we do with interpolation? We can do simple operations, like mathematical operation. You see, it also works. We can do not only simple strings, but we can do objects here. If you create an object, we can also refer to an object property. Yeah. If it's needed, we also can do concatenation here. We have hello John, but in this case, it's easier if it's already inside hello, so we can do something like this. I also want to put your attention that we are working with properties of our controller. So it's not possible to use some globals. For example, you want to use window, I don't know, you want to use mass, global one, or something else. You can use only properties of your controller. Going next, I would like to show you how we can set properties of objects. For example, we have HTML element. And for this element, we have class. And in styles, we can specify that we're gonna have class red. It will have color red. And I want to set this class here. I need to create a variable. My class is gonna be red. And what we just learned, interpolation, you can easily have it with interpolation by setting variable of class name. Let's check whether it works. For some reason it doesn't, but let's check why. Live coding is always tricky. So of course we didn't put it inside the now we have red. Great. So But in Angular, to set object or component properties, there is even more convenient way. When you have your class attribute, you can put it in square brackets. It means that property of this attribute will be interpolated. So it will compile it and get all the variable values. We are getting the same result here. Moreover, you can set properties like not only class, but style for images. It could be source for links. It could be href. But that's clear. But interesting thing that you can use also nested properties. So like, for example, for styles, we just did with color. We can set styles, color, and specify that it's gonna be red, color red. It's property style. That's what I told you about good code editors, that I made a misprint. Instead of style, I wrote styles, and it immediately showed me that something is wrong with my properties. So, and we use also red. Now it's not the name of the class, but name of the color. Let's do it, my color. Oh, my color, green. And we have green with this sub property. Also, it's possible even go deeper. For example, if you have style width, you can specify that you want to have it in pixels to be also compiled. So pretty convenient option to set properties. Okay, going next. Next one for templates is how to handle events. For example, you have a button and you want by click to change the color to, for example, pink. To handle events, you use special syntax of wrapping the name of event, in our case click, in brackets. And then you specify the handler. Ideally, it should be function from your controller, component controller. So something like and we specify it here. But we can even simplify it for a simple case and say that I want to set my color property to pink. Let's check. We have button. We click the button and our text is pink now. It's really easy to handle events, to change the property. We can even have input, and input, also the event name is also input. And when you type change color dynamically, we need somehow to get the value of input. And Angular provides us specific object that is called event. And basically it's the same event that you have in JavaScript. So event, target, value, and we will get the value of our input. by change. So here you can say yellow or black. Also, again, nice shortcut for example, key down event. Sometimes it's convenient to track specific key on keyboard. For example, enter. And there is also an option. You just put full stop, enter, and that's it. And now you are tracking enter key. So now if I'm input and just press enter, you see it goes black. You can use even combination of, sometimes you want to have control with enter. It's also possible. Control enter. It means that you are pressing it simultaneously. And the same if you want to use shift together. So that's brief explanation how you handle events in template in Angular. I made, again, for presentation, I made some notes for like to make a hint for you. Yeah, we are going next topic. So we discussed the components. Now we are going to directives. You can create your own directives, but there are already some from out of box that Angular provides you, and you can use it. And the most used ones are ngif and ngif. If you already like did some programming, you probably could have a guess what's it about. For example, ngif, we have an element. We can actually use our existing element. And we put directive. What does it mean, directive? If we are speaking about components, so it's complete isolated element. If we are speaking about directive, it's something that you add to another element to extend its properties. For example, we are adding ngif. And I also, please keep your attention on this sign, this asterisk sign. It goes for specific directives. In this training, we are not going to dive deeper just for ngif. Remember that you need to use this asterisk sign. And in ngif, you put the condition whether you want to show the block or not. And basically, you can create just a variable show or is shown. It depends on your naming preferences. Show, and we can put show to false. We know already how to work with events, so we now can put show to true. Here we gonna. So there is no block. You can check it also from DevTools. Now you click show and block is shown. We can even create something like a toggle, not just show, but invert the previous value. And now we could have show hide. And we show and we hide. And as we see, element is added and element is removed. So that was about ngif. Ngif is really simple. Next one is ngF4. ngF4 is used for outputting the lists. For example, we have our normal HTML list. And we have some data to output, like tasks list. We have tasks, it's an array. Each task could have several properties, but let's have only one for now. And now you can, for this li element, you can put asterisk ngF4 to say that you want to output this element many times. You're saying that you want to define variable tasks of tasks. And when you define variable, you can use this task and its properties. It's precompiled, and we have our list generated. It's pretty easy, isn't it? Quite convenient. Now you can, with this knowledge, you already can do, if you know to do MVC application that shows how to implement simple application in different framework. There is even no fresh version for Angular. We can open Angular.js, so it looks like so. And I would suggest, like a whole task for you, you have already quite some knowledge, so you can handle this click event, you can handle input, you can handle enter to add to the list, and you already know how to output the list. I suggest you to do it like a home task, to do this to-do application. With your current knowledge, it should be possible. And to have complete picture of all the Angular entities, we will speak also about services. Services is a place where you store all the data, where you store all the logic, all the business logic, and usually it's also about data sources. For example, you are doing AJAX requests, and they will be also in your services. Let's create for our tasks, let's create service. So to create service, again, you can use command ng generate, and you want to create service, or shortcut S. And service, we'll call it task. So you see file task service is generated. Just simple class, some addition from decorators that you don't need to focus on right now. And in this class, we want to have method to get our tasks. So we can basically move our data into service. Let's put tasks like private, and method get tasks will return this property. Now, to use service, we need to inject it. Again, I will not go into very details of dependency injection in Angular. What you need to do is to have it in your constructor parameter. So taskseries, and you specify you need also to import it. Taskseries. And this notation means that you want to put instance of taskseries, create an instance of taskseries and put into taskseries variable. If you put also access modifier, it means that you want to put it on a class level, not only inside constructor, but on a class level. Taskseries. Now you can use taskseries. And I have nice autocomplete here and get tasks. Normally, you're not putting too much logic on root component. So we already included our child component. Let's put our tasks there in child component. We have our constructor. We need to and this part of template will go to our child component. So we need tasks. Here, and that's it. I hope you are still able to follow. We don't have tasks right now. That's good because we didn't assign them. So that's also interesting thing that, okay, let's first output it. Yeah, we have our tasks now that are coming from service. Also, thing that we have here already generated for us specific ng on init method. Some newcomers to Angular also got confused what it's about. Why we have constructor and some kind of init method. The difference is constructor, that's normal JavaScript constructor. So it runs when you create new instance. And ng on init, it's method when you initiate component itself inside the structure. Why it's different? It's different if you want to input some parameters in your component. And that's also important topic. If you want to output, let's say, not all the elements, but some kind of set of amount. We want to provide number. How to set this property? You can set it really easy. Like we discussed for styles, the same goes for other values. In here, you can say that I want to have it 3. Actually, you can provide also it like a variable number. And inside your child component, to have these input parameters, you're using such a construction. This is also a special decorator that you don't need to focus on, just remember how to have this input parameter. And now you have number inside your variable. And to work with this variable, you should use ngif, because on the time when constructor is initiated, it could be not there yet. So to be sure that number is there, need to use ngif. That's why we are moving our task here. We have now our number. So we can use something like slice from 0 to number. And for some reason it doesn't work, or it does. We can check this. What do we have? A number. And tasks. Okay, it was just not precompiled, it looks like. So it's working correctly.